Hi, thanks for tuning in today with Gabbing with Girlfriends. And guess who's joined me today? Surprise, surprise, it's Gabby, my gabbing friend, Gabby. Hi, Gabby. Gabby from her dad's
Hi.
house.
Hi. Yes, I'm from my dad's house in wonderful Minnesota. It's beautiful here.
Is the weather nice?
It's really nice. And I actually wanted to do this chat with you outside because it's so pretty out, but I couldn't find a place in the yard that didn't make my eye bags just look completely terrible. So I'm
But you
inside.
know what? I wanted to do that too. It's funny that you should say that. I'm in Utah, and I actually went out on the balcony for a second and thought, I'm going to do it here. And it's perfectly quiet. However, all it takes is somebody's gardener to come, or they're actually getting ready to do some work at the house behind me, um, which is a result of the house across from me having had some kind of irrigation issue. But anyway, and I thought, oh, even though they were supposed to start this 2 weeks ago, today will be the day during
Yeah,
this that they started. But in theory, doing this outside would have been marvelous.
it would have been great. It was so beautiful. There's so many trees. It's green. It's sunny out. But between my eye bags and the potential of a fire truck going by, I opted for indoors.
So when do you start changing colors there, as a rule?
um, to be honest, I'm not sure. I'm going to assume by at least October. I mean, it's so hot here right now and everything is so green.
How
I'm
hot? How
guessing
hot?
it's in the 80s. It's going to be
Which
88 today.
wow,
Yeah.
wow. I think it's going to be in the hundreds in California today, in LA. I think it's going to be 100.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Crazy.
I don't
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
crazy.
That's too
So
much.
I think that the trees might turn here, or things might start to turn in September. But right now, it just feels too hot for that to happen. To me, I equate leaves turning with cooler temperature. So,
Yeah, yeah, me too. Me too.
yeah, yeah.
We were just talking because Biff and Tricia and the kids have been here, and they actually left this morning. And we were talking about how the colors here in Utah are just, I mean, they're things turn gold in color, and it's just so incredibly beautiful. And especially when you're used to being in LA, now they're thinking about when they can come in the autumn just to see leaves turn this color because you just don't get
Yeah.
it in California or in Southern
Cat,
California.
well, I think Southern California has seasons. If you live there long enough, you realize what's blooming at different times of the year. It's just that our seasons don't look like they look, say, on the East Coast or up north. But we do have things that are seasonal and things that change, which I find interesting. I don't know
Like
all the
what?
plant
Like what do
names.
you mean?
Well, like, I don't know the names of them, but, in springtime, after it's done raining, for example, you have all of the California poppies blooming, and the
Hmm.
nasturtiums come out, and then it gets warmer and those go away. But then you have this other bush that blooms with these beautiful pink flowers. I have no idea what it is. And then in the summer, there's these trees that bloom, that are yellow and pink. And so we do have seasons, things bloom at different times. I wish I knew the names of
No,
all
no,
of
but
these
that's true.
plants,
No, no, I get what
but
you're saying.
and we do. And then I have a plant in my yard, for example, that has white, like a big bush thing, and it has white flowers on it. The bees love it. The flowers go away, and then you get red berries on it that the birds love more in the cooler weather. So I don't know. I think we have seasons. It's just not traditionally
Yeah,
like
yeah.
in other
No, I know
places.
what you mean. It's like I always say that about England. People talk about the seasons there, and the seasons to me in England tend to be grayer, grayest, and totally pouring. So those are the four seasons to me there. Um, but yeah, I guess every place has seasons.
Every
Just
place has it. You just get in tune to it when you live there. You may not even notice it anymore if it's not a huge dramatic
yeah,
switch.
yeah. So what else is going on with you? You had a nice trip to New York, I hear. I
Yeah, I
heard.
went
You
to New
told me.
York. Yeah, I went to New York. I love going to New York. It's just something about it makes me happy. I went to this little park called Greenacre Park that I'd never been to before, but that I'd heard about. It's on, I think, 51st like between second and third maybe, but in that neighborhood, you wouldn't know it walking down the street. It's hidden because there's, shops and normal buildings. And then all of a sudden
Oh my
there's this
gosh, I
little
know where you
space
mean.
that's a park, and there's a big waterfall, and instantly the air is cooler by about 15 degrees, and people
Is
just
that
sit
right?
there and, oh yeah, because it's got that canopy of trees in the water.
And was it hot?
So
What was it hot in New York
it
when you
was
were there?
hot. It was humid. I was
Yeah.
sweating the whole time, So Greenacre Park was a nice place to go to cool down. You can have a little drink there if you want. There's a little kiosk. It's just lovely. It's just this quaint little space. I mean, they should do it all over, right? Cool the town down. Like there's just
Yeah, they
not
need
enough
it.
trees there. There's just not enough trees. That's the issue.
There's just not enough trees, not enough grass. I remember when I used to take Missy to New York and Chicago, and she used to go on tour with us. And I'd take her out of the hotel to go potty, and she didn't understand the concept of going potty on concrete because you would have
Right.
to walk so far to find grass. And yeah, it's weird. City should have more grass for those dogs that do not understand city pottying. It's hard.
Right. And this space of Greenacre, it's like the space of, it's like just this little square space that normally probably they would have just shoved another building in, right? An apartment or some other small space. To put those around doesn't seem like a big sacrifice to me. I realize everything's about money, but I'm just saying,
I'm with you.
for the sake of the world and just people's mental health, to just have that space to go to would be, I think, wonderful. So if anyone ever is in New York, go to Greenacre Park and just have a moment to relax. It's the waterfall
Cool
coming
off.
down there is just so cool.
So, is this your first time since oh no, you were there recently anyway, in
I
New
was
York.
in New York last fall. I was there 2 times last year.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking.
Mhm.
When you went to the concert?
I went 2 times last fall or last year. Once was to take my niece, and once was to go just hang out because Glenn happened to be there.
But didn't you go to a
And
concert
then,
with a girlfriend of yours there?
I was in New Jersey, yeah, to go
Oh,
see
here,
the Doobie Brothers. Yeah,
that's it.
yeah,
I've only been to New York
yeah.
once since the pandemic, and I went there. A friend of mine had a show on Broadway, and I went there just long enough to go to the show. So I guess I was in and out in 48 hours. But I thought it was kind of depressing, and I've always loved New York. But I don't know if I thought New York drastically changed because people tell me it has, or because I expected it to have changed since the pandemic, or because of so much negativity around the pandemic that I expected it, or if it really has changed. I'm not sure which.
I would have to say that I don't really know what people say, what they mean when they say New York has changed. I don't really know
I don't
what
think
you
it
mean
did.
by that.
Like there's
No,
still
because
a
I
lot of
think,
shops were gone, a lot of things closed. It seemed like things were a bit more run down and a bit more vacant, kind of.
yeah, but you know what? Before the pandemic, New York had a problem with shops shutting down. And here's why: because a lot of the landlords raised the rent. So the little guy who has his deli or his laundry cleaner place, or, dry cleaner,
Yeah.
or whatever, independent people, their lease would come up and they couldn't afford the new rent. And this is pre-pandemic now. So they had a lot of empty spaces because these people are hoping that someone with big bucks will come in, Old Navy or Banana Republic or some chain, Sephora. Someone will come in and take that space and give them bigger money, and they're willing to go without the rent from the little guy. So before the pandemic, I was reading about this, how a lot of neighborhoods were having this problem of shops closing down, empty space. The empty space causes a lot of problems in neighborhoods with drugs and people using that empty space for things they shouldn't be using it for. So it also affects people that live there, because that little neighborhood now, they got to go farther to find a dry cleaner. Like in New York, people live in their neighborhoods. right?
It's true.
They walk to their corner. They don't drive like we do to the store. They walk to their little neighborhoods. Their little neighborhoods are self-sufficient. So more little neighborhoods were finding themselves in a way where they had to go farther to find things. Now, I'm talking about stuff that's like 5 years ago. So I'm assuming the pandemic didn't help that any. But when I'm there as a tourist, I'm usually there with so little time that I have to pick and choose the things I want to see and the things I want to do and deal with just seeing that. And then I don't get to spend enough time really maybe exploring, which would be ideal. So I can't speak to the post-pandemic economics. I'm just, I'm assuming you might be right about that based on what I heard, 5 years ago.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's really kind of,
because I go there and like I wanted to see the Van Gogh exhibit before it left, right? So that was my goal. Oh yeah, that was my goal. Yeah, it was incredible.
Did you like that?
Yeah, I loved it. I always so that exhibit, the cypresses, they all haven't been together in one place since 1904, and they may never be together again. So it was an opportunity, to see that. And I mean, I got to tell you, there was this one painting where he had the sliver of a moon, right? And it was so touching to me, just the way he painted this moon. I mean, I cried.
You did?
It was, oh yeah, the moon, it was strong, but it was also tremulous. It was the moon. I mean, all of his stuff, I didn't realize, he's so overblown. Like when you play a song too much on the radio, his stuff is, it's on note cards, it's on postcards, it's on t-shirts, it's everywhere. And it's not really, that's not who he was. This one, the one thing you see all the time. There's just so many things that he did that were incredible, and the letters that he wrote people and his friendships with his brother and other artists. And, it was a very moving thing to see.
Where was it?
At the Met. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So that was my goal. I mean, Glenn had a show there, which was also a goal, but I wanted to see the Van Gogh. So I went a day early so I could do that.
So cool. Very nice. Very, very nice. So how long are you in Minnesota?
I'm here all week, folks. I'm here all week long. Cooking. And I enjoy cooking. I enjoy cooking for my father. So that's kind of fun. Like today I had him I made some potatoes and, like potatoes with peppers and onions and stuff like that and then he comes down, he's like, I smell something good in the kitchen. I'm like, oh, that's for you. Well, what about you? I'm like, Dad, I've already eaten, because I've been up now for like 5 hours. It's okay. I'm like, go right ahead. Go, there's more if you want more.
Oh, that's nice. So is it just the two of you there?
Yeah, just the two of us hanging out.
But your sister lives nearby.
She lives nearby. She lives about a mile away. She's off.
You couldn't get much closer than that.
Can't get much closer. You can walk here from her house. Yeah.
No, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think of different kind of topics because we've talked so much. I'm trying to think of different things that we haven't talked about.
Let's see. What haven't we talked about?
Well, I have one.
Oh, what?
Do you believe in fate?
I'm iffy on that, simply because I feel like, I mean, sure, anything's possible, but I feel like the decisions that you make are going to influence your future or your life. So if you totally believe in fate, then what does that mean? What does that mean for not making a decision is a decision, right? That's a choice. So I kind of feel like when people say, oh, it's your fate, like it was just destined to happen, I don't know what I think about that, because how can that possibly be if you're constantly making decisions like what job I'm going to take, where I'm going to live, am I going to school today, am I going to the grocery store
Well, that's
right now,
taking
like
it too
all
much
of
to the
these things.
extreme. Like, maybe I feel a bit differently because I really believe the way Terry and I met was fate. Like, there were too many variables that if one thing was slightly awry, we would have never met. So I think something like that is fate. Or the day I met Missy, like I should have. I mean, I've never
See,
been
I
a
would,
dog person. Like, there's certain things that
um,
I think happen, and I can't say for a reason, but I think it's the stars aligned, or I don't really know what the language is. Maybe fate's not the right word, but I think it is. I think fate is. I think, um, or maybe in
see, I
my
don't know.
particular case,
I met Glenn on a blind date. If I had not made the choice to put myself out there and go on a blind date, I never would have met him. So,
well, yes, you could
but
word
I
it like that
understand
too.
but I understand what you're saying. The other side of that is maybe the fate is just that's my personality, so it was going to happen regardless whether I chose to go. Look, even if I hadn't gone on that date, maybe I would have met him through the same friend at another time. That's a possibility, right? Just by the nature of
I get
who
it.
you're friends
No, no,
with.
no, I get it. That's an
So
interesting way to
that's
look
why
at
I
it.
say I'm like iffy, half and half on fate, because
I think people
personally,
define it differently anyway. I think
yeah,
it could carry a couple different meanings. Well, not
yeah.
meanings, but just I think he just um, yeah. It seems like my only fate issues have to do with me meeting somebody, me meeting Missy, me meeting Terry. Yeah, I guess so. Maybe fate's not the right word. Blessed. I was blessed to have met both of them. So maybe that's the word I want. Blessed.
Maybe
Um,
that's it. Yeah,
could be. Who was the friend that
yeah.
introduced? Who was the blind date with?
A drummer named Gary Ferguson. He had played with Glenn.
I must have known this.
He must, yeah. He played and known Glenn for a very, very long time. He played on Hughes Thrall with Glenn and Pat Thrall, and he's known Glenn for many, many years.
And did he have a wife?
Who, Glenn or Gary? No,
No, Gary. Like, was it four of you going out together, or?
Ferg. No, Ferg is married. Yes, he's got a beautiful wife named Stacy. But no, it came up because Ferg was asking me who I was dating. Of course, I said no one. I was in my late 30s. There's not really a lot of men available or women, like when you get in your late 30s, the dating pool really, really gets thinned out because everybody's already married or they're going through their first divorce. So there was not really that many
Your
guys.
expectations become so high because you're used to being on your own anyway, or
Yeah, it's not that big a deal at that point,
yeah,
right? I wasn't
or I think,
looking to tie the knot with anyone.
yeah,
So he goes, oh, I know a single guy that you could meet. And so that's kind of how it happened.
I
Just,
love that.
having that conversation. Yeah.
Oh, that's sweet. So if you had to, I know your animals make you really happy, but
Yeah.
and I know your husband makes you happy. What else? What else makes you happy?
Oh gosh, lots of things make me happy. Um,
I'm on a very loud chair. Sorry.
that's okay. No, a lot of things make me happy. Like I love plants indoors and out. I love gardening, plants, trees, anything in the natural world that I can add into my life, like in my yard or my home. That really makes me happy. Um, Having the opportunity to sit in quiet and read a good mystery novel makes me happy. That's
My
why I don't
husband
mind
too.
traveling.
Not me, but my husband.
I love to do that. That just makes, it's like an escape. And I really like that. So that makes me happy. I also like buying postcards and sending them to my friends when I travel. And I like I have relationships with people where our only communication is when I go somewhere, I send a postcard. And they do the same thing for me. It's weird. We don't have any other communication, but I get a real kick out of it. I really like it.
Do you
And
know,
those are some
sorry,
things.
sorry to interrupt, but I was just thinking the other day about how um, I buy postcards almost every place I go. Well, I sometimes buy postcards, but my husband buys postcards everywhere he goes,
Me too.
and we never see them again. We don't send them to anybody, or he doesn't send them to anybody. And so I'm not really sure what happens to them or why. But I guess it's a way to have a keepsake from the travels. But then he also buys fridge magnets and snow globes and everything else you could possibly buy from a souvenir shop. Yeah, I don't really know the purpose of postcards, except that I would love to do that. I would love to start writing letters again. I don't really know why, and I've got the worst penmanship in the world, but I
Oh,
think it's
so do
nice to
I.
get something in
People
the mail.
people can't even read what I'm writing them.
Me neither.
Okay.
I
They
can't
just
read my own
they
writing
just they
after.
just get the mail. But I love to send mail and I love postcards. I get angry if I go to a place and nobody's selling postcards. Like when I was in New Jersey, I was like, where are all the postcards? There's none. There's none at the airport. I can't find any. There's none. I'm walking down the street, the little gift shops, and nobody's selling postcards. What the hell is going on?
Yeah, that's
So
weird.
yeah, I get
That's
angry if
weird.
I can't find one.
Yeah, I used to love writing letters, and then all of a sudden my handwriting became less legible, and computers, email started happening. So no more letters. But I think that would make me happy to do that. I think I'm going to
It
start
would, and
doing
you
that.
know, I don't email my friends. I barely, and to me, texting is for like informational purposes. Like, see you at 5. Are you going to this? Are you available next week? It's for informational. It's not really for having an in-depth discussion. It's, that's too much. Also, I think letters can be therapy because I have one or
Me
two
too.
friends that you can write it because I don't journal. What's the point of a journal? What's the point of writing myself? Like I want to get it out, but I'll send it on its way and then it can become someone else's burden or
Therapeutic.
they can put it in. It's therapy. But to me, journaling has never been therapeutic.
I think it is.
I
I
don't do
don't
that.
do it probably because I'm too lazy, or by the time I would sit down to pick up, well, again, I can't pick up pen to paper because I'd never be able to read it. But by the time I pick up my phone to go to my notes and start journaling, I will have discovered Rummy Cube on my phone or Candy Crush on my phone, and that's it. I'm lost for 3 hours playing
Candy
games. So it just doesn't work for me. But I do think it's therapeutic. But so's Candy
I do
Crush.
think it helps people. Right. I think it does help people. Journaling, totally. But I mean, for me, I'm going to write my friend, right? Now I got to go write the same shit in my journal that I just wrote her. I can't write it twice. Right. Because that's
But
like,
see, that's a good thing about the computer is you can copy and paste and then send everybody
yeah. I
exactly the
think
same thing.
also your brain works differently when you handwrite something than when you type because your brain is processing things differently. It's thinking about the next word in a way that's different. And I just think writing it is better. So for me, email and texting are just for information or like work. I have to email all day at work. I'm certainly not going to do that in my free time.
Okay, so here's another question for you. There's all kinds of noise going on here, and I don't even
It's
know why.
okay.
I think my husband's turning into Glenn. AI issues.
You mean, what do I think about it?
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think it's as scary
Well,
as people think it is? Do you think too much is being made, too big of a deal is being made out of it? Just, yeah. What do you think?
what I think is no matter how much AI you have, you still need people involved on some level. For example, in my job, it allows, so for example, when it comes to like, say, bill paying, there's a lot of AI there that will scan invoices,
Is
code
that
it,
right?
and code it after. They still need you to check it and make sure it's okay
No,
and
but I don't
release a
get it.
payment.
Explain that. I don't get it.
So let's say you work for an accounting firm and you have a client that has a lot of invoices that need to be paid. They can all be uploaded, okay, into a
To
place.
QuickBooks. To QuickBooks.
No, like this is bill.com, for example. And there's forms as well. And all of them go in there. You have the vendors, everything is all set. You set that up. You code the invoice once to what it's for. What is it for? Phone, internet, electric, rent, whatever. And then it remembers that. So the next time that bill comes up, it's already all in there with the invoice number, the date, the coding, everything. You might have to go in there and change a description. It also offers levels of people approving it. So it doesn't, and it never gets automatically paid. You have to release a payment. But the point of this is when you're working on multiple companies and you've got tons of paper coming at you, the choice is, do I want to have all these people typing this in one by one by one, or do I want it uploaded and then I have people look at it, approve it, do whatever, and move on to bigger things? It's really helpful.
But that's not AI. That's not somebody else doing your job.
Well, it is. It's coding it and setting it up and doing it all for you. That's the very basic level. I think when they talk about like the reason SAG is striking and stuff like this, and they talk about AI, and I could be way wrong about this. I think they're worried about like, let's spend a whole lot of money to, what is going on? Let's spend a whole lot of money to hire Nicole Kidman to be in my film. And then instead of hiring a bunch of background actors, I'll just have AI. Like, is that what they're talking about? Have people in the back?
But in a writing sense. I mean, they may be talking about that too, but definitely in a writing sense, for example.
In a writing sense, I don't think it works simply because you need a human brain to come up with very specific ideas and interactions. Look, the reason stories affect us is because it's about human nature never changing. Jane Austen's stories are still relevant because she wrote about humanity and human nature. AI is not going to be able to do that.
It can do it. If you say, can you write this in a Jane Austen style, then you don't have to think.
Sure.
It can do it for you.
Right. But the point is you're supposed to have your own individual human style. So why would you want to copy Jane? Jane's already done her thing. What if there's a very brilliant writer out there right now who's about to graduate from high school? We don't even know who they are. And he or she is going to go to college and major in English and turn out to be a brilliant, writer. We don't know that yet. So if I just don't think AI can do that. I think AI is for data entry, to take people away from mindless data entry, date, time, number. Give that to AI, but don't give the creative process to AI. That's just my opinion. To me, creativity is humanity. Give the data entry to AI. To me, writing is not data entry.
But that is what the strike's about.
Right. And I understand that. I mean,
but you don't think it's something people need to be fearful of?
Oh, to be honest, I'm not sure because I don't really know how accepting people would be anyway about AI getting in their life in terms of writing or creativity. Like, I think a lot of people wouldn't like it and wouldn't support it. And then I think there's other people that wouldn't know the difference. So I don't know, but
it was interesting.
I don't know how to answer that question.
Somebody sent me an interview, and I don't ask me who it was, but apparently it's a well-known podcaster that interviewed somebody for like a 45-minute interview, 30-minute interview, whatever it was. And it was super intelligent and like a good interview. And it was AI. He was speaking to an AI thing and the interview. So he did an entire interview with AI. And you would have never known unless you knew. I just said this to you. It was really interesting. It was really interesting because you really wouldn't know. So that's kind of scary.
I think that's creepy.
It's really creepy.
That's creepy.
But you're not going to get somebody like starring in a movie. That's not going to be AI. That's going to be, I mean, that may work on podcast because it's not, you don't have to look at
Right.
it, you know, so I guess it may
Right.
work, but I don't know, but it is creepy, really creepy.
I think it's really creepy to, like I said, let's keep it in the data entry area to free people up to do a better job at their job and to be able to use their own brain. But let's keep it out of creative stuff and creepy stuff like that. Like, I don't like that. I don't like that.
No, I don't like that either. Okay, I'm just trying to think of things we've yet to discuss. Since we talk all the
Yeah,
time.
that was a new one. That was a new one.
So what else is happening in our world that people are debating? I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm not a
Everything
good-
seems horrible, so I don't really want to talk about bad things because I just got over you helped me out of my mental funk last week when I was having my Maui fire funk, and I'm just
Yeah,
barely able to get to sleep now over that.
I
So
get
that was
it.
terrible, and that very much affected me. But see, AI couldn't have gotten me out of that funk. That's what a human being is for, right? To talk to your
That's right.
friends.
That's
I don't want to talk
absolutely
to
right.
AI if I'm in a funk. I want to talk to a person,
But
you know?
I think that one, and I know I said this to you that day on the phone, I think that one got to everybody for so many
Yeah.
reasons on so many different levels that it just seemed like everybody felt it. It was
Yeah.
one of that fire, and there's always fires. I mean, you live in California where
Right.
there's a fire a year. This
But
one
it
was just
doesn't
different.
wipe out a whole community, and it doesn't wipe out, like, you know, even one of those things would be bad. Losing a historical building would be bad, and that would make you feel bad. Or losing your neighbor, losing their home, you losing your home, your boss losing his place of work, and now you're unemployed. Just take one of those things and it's bad. They had all of it in a day.
In addition to the question so many people ask themselves, where's the siren? And then you have the debate, you know, the sirens taught to make you, you know.
Well, they were.
Go ahead.
I think weren't they afraid that siren people would think it was a tidal wave?
Yeah.
Right?
And
because
go
that's
up.
traditionally what they were for, and go up. So they're like, we don't want people going up. We want them going down, you know? So, I mean, look,
but that is the
it's
debate.
Not a perfect world.
Should it have gone off?
I don't know that. And would it have made a difference? It might have made it.
But that is the question in everybody's head.
I don't think it would have made a difference. But see, here's the thing. You can't ask these questions and expect a realistic answer.
No.
After it's done. It's good for debate, but you won't get an answer that pleases you.
Yeah.
Probably more people would have
ever.
died. Right?
Yeah. It's just
those poor people. It doesn't matter whether they would have had all the sirens, whether they were screwed from the get-go. They didn't stand a chance. The ones that lived are so lucky, and I mean, they're lucky they're alive, but they have so much emotional stuff to deal with. That's what I feel bad about. They have so much emotional stuff to get through that it's going to take them a long time to recover from that, if ever. Especially if people died, that they may never get past it. I don't know. It's terrible.
Okay, to lighten the subject.
Yeah.
Okay.
Debbie Downer.
What about that football or soccer, Spanish soccer guy that kissed that player on the lips? Oh, where have you been, Gabi? How could you not know about this?
I missed that.
Okay, so you know Spain won the women's.
Yeah.
Okay, so at the end of it, the guy, I don't know what his title is, but the head Spanish,
coach, like the owner guy.
Not for that team, but like the head of Spain, the head of the Spanish football team.
Oh, okay, got it.
The GM or whatever he was, but so at the very end of it, he, instead of shaking her hand or even kissing her on the cheek, he went up to her and kissed her on the mouth, kissed her on the lips, and it wasn't welcome. It wasn't appreciated.
Isn't that what Spaniards do, though? I mean, look, my husband's Look, my husband's performed in Spain and he was leaving a gig and a woman grabbed him by the arm and bit his arm. He came home with teeth marks because she just needed a piece of him so bad. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying
I'm saying your husband was tricking you, that's not really what happened. Excuse me. Somebody's a little naive here. And her name's Gabi.
Look, I'm not excusing unwelcome advances. I'm just saying sometimes people get hit with emotion, and it wouldn't have happened in Germany. And I'm just saying that wouldn't have happened in Germany, right? That would have been a handshake or a job well done, pat on the back.
So,
and the guy was probably over.
What he said afterwards was, was it on purpose, emotion, blah, blah, blah. But he also said, and I forgot the name, forgot which team it is, but that it happened, or which country it was, but it happened with another country, whatever the country was. Well, that guy did it with his player, and nobody said a word about that. Well, that player was also his fiance, and they were married 2 weeks later. So that didn't count.
Okay, there's a big difference there.
Yeah.
Look, I don't want any guy kissing me ever on the lips, that isn't Glenn. Like, I just don't ever want that. Never, ever, ever.
It's inappropriate. It's just inappropriate.
It's inappropriate. However, in my past, I have had good friends who were guys, like they'd have too much to drink and they'd try to slobber one on me, or they'd grab my ass or something.
But wait a second. Wait a second. The operative words were good friends. This wasn't. This was somebody in a kind of leadership role.
He's a boss. The bottom line is bosses aren't supposed to kiss their employees. That's a fact.
Or bite their arms, by the way. They should never be biting their arms either.
They should be biting their arms. But no, bosses aren't allowed, to kiss their employees because that leads to very bad things. And yes, I get it. Like, do I understand why he did it? Probably. Do I think he should have done it? Probably not. But
because he said he had so much flack over it. He said he was going to resign, but then he changed his mind.
Jesus
so
Christ.
I think they're waiting for him to get fired. But yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, I'm not saying it's okay, and I sure as shit don't want any of my bosses coming up and kissing me. Unless I can get a lot of money for it, in which case, I'm going to be in the office next Tuesday.
Anyway, so what the heck?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think we've pretty much covered everything, kind of.
Yeah,
for this
kissing in the office, and fate, and planting some trees. Let's get some parks going. Even if they're very small, let's plant some trees and let's get some parks. Downtown or in other neighborhoods in LA, doesn't have to be all in New York, people. We can do it wherever we are. So let's have some. And please, no more palm trees. I mean trees, real trees that birds can sit in that have shade and contribute something to the planet here. That's what we need.
I wonder how many real parks there are in downtown LA. I wonder.
I don't know. I can tell you that
I'm going to research that.
Well, I've noticed, where I live, when I get off the 110 down in San Pedro, there's been these bits of kind of nothingness dirt areas that they've tried to build, and they've planted some trees and they've made it nice, right? But then I noticed in this one part off the freeway, it's like these scraggly ass, they're just not going to help. Okay. And palm trees and stuff. It's like you're missing the point. You need to be consulting with someone who actually understands things like drainage and retaining water and keeping us literally the ground hydrated and the air oxygenated. That's what I want to see. Places that make it better for humans to live in the world.
Mm-hmm. I'm on your side there. So on that note, I will say goodbye to my good Gabi girlfriend, or my good gabbing girlfriend, Gabi. So I will speak to you later. This was nice. and enjoy your time with your dad. Do you have to work while you're there too? Are you working?
I do, but it's okay. I'm okay with that. Happy to be employed. Hoping to
And
get kissed for it.
I was just going to say, you have to say that to keep that kiss,
Happy to be
kiss on the
employed.
lips from
Hoping
coming.
to be kissed.
Bye, Gabi. I will speak to you soon. Thank you
Bye.
so much. I love talking to you. Thank you. Mwah. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Ciao.
Thanks so much for tuning in today. And be sure to follow Gabbing with Girlfriends on here so you never miss an episode. You can also find us on social media for more fun and in-depth conversations. Thank you.